welcome back to my channel. Marley reads a lot. My name is Marley and I read a lot, or I like to think that I do. I'm very excited about today's video because I am going to be assigning book characters a zodiac sign. I'm really into astrology and I'm also into reading, so I try and do a lot of videos that combine both things. This is something that I've seen people do with like Harry Potter houses and stuff like that, where they like assign book characters into a certain house, but I haven't seen anyone do this for astrology, like assigning book characters an astrological sign. If you have done it before, I apologize. Credits to you, but this is something that I just wanted to do with some of the book characters from the books I have read recently. I'm going to be picking the names out of this Molson Canadian bucket. Don't ask. With each name I pull out, I'm just going to, sort of analyze their character and assign them a sign, whether it's Aries, Gemini, Libra, whatever. So, first up, we have Daisy Jones from Daisy Jones on the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So Daisy Jones is the lead singer of the band Daisy Jones on the Six. She's like a young, talented artist. She also has a lot of demons when it comes to like her parents, and she's very into partying and doing drugs, and she's a bit of an addict. So this is interesting. I think I would say that Daisy Jones is an Aquarius. And the reason I would say that is because Aquariuses are very creative, I feel, and very unique, and like to pave their own path and go with the flow and all that sort of stuff. And I feel like that very much fits Daisy Jones and her like 70s hippie drug addict vibe. Not to like call Aquariuses drug addicts or anything, but I just feel like she has a very carefree like attitude, and she's very, deep with her song lyrics. She's very unique and original, so that's what I'm gonna say for Daisy. All right. Next up, we have Chloe Brown from Get a Life Chloe Brown, the romance book. Okay, so Chloe works, I think she has like her own business where she does digital stuff for businesses, so like website, SEO, stuff like that. She also suffers from chronic pain. She's also the oldest sister of 3, so she's, the more responsible one. I'm gonna say Chloe definitely gives me Taurus vibes. I immediately knew, just based on how she is, that she would be probably an earth sign, but I think Taurus fits her the best, especially when it comes to the stubbornness. She's definitely stubborn and sarcastic, but then I also feel like she's very reliable and dependable, as I sort of said, with her being the oldest sibling and her like having her own business and stuff like that. So I definitely feel like she would be a Taurus. And then Tauruses are also known to be like sensual, and in that book there's a lot of like sensual moments, steamy moments with her and her love interest Red. So I think Chloe definitely has to be a Taurus. Next book character, America from the Selection series. Okay, so America, as a lot of people have said before, has that I'm not like other girls like characteristics. She is the one girl in the selection that doesn't want to be queen or princess, and she just wants to be like a normal girl, and she isn't as materialistic as the rest. She also is very fiery and stubborn and sticks with her opinions. So I think after debating this that I would probably put America as an Aries. The reason for this is as I said, she really like sticks with her opinions and everything, and I think that fits with an Aries who is very stubborn and very much likes to be a leader. Also, America does, spoiler alert, end up becoming royalty, and so I think that fits with the whole being a good leader thing. But yeah, I mean, America's definitely fiery. She definitely has to be a fire sign, so I think out of the 3 fire signs, Aries would be the one she fits the most. Next we have Stevie from Truly Devious. So Stevie is a very smart kid. That's why she gets enrolled in this boarding school for super smart kids, and she is obsessed with true crime and solving crime and, being like Sherlock Holmes. That's pretty much her whole personality. I think the sign that she would have to be would be Virgo. Again, I was getting earth vibes from her, but I think out of the earth signs, she would be Virgo, as they are very analytical and take things very seriously. And I feel like Stevie does that in order to solve the mysteries that she has to solve at the school. And then I also feel like Virgos have like a soft side to them. Like I don't feel like they're as hard and stubborn as like Capricorns and Tauruses, the other earth signs. So I feel like Virgo really fits her for being like smart and analytical, but then also being like a little bit soft and emotional too. Let me know if you guys agree with what I'm saying. Next character is a fun one. It's Magnus Bane from the Shadowhunter Chronicles or the Mortal Instruments. This is a lot. Like, Magnus is an immortal warlock. He has been around the block. He's been alive for so many years. He's very fun. He loves to party. Then he also is super wise because he is so old. And he's also super loving and kind to his loved ones. So there's a lot to his character. Okay, I think after what I just said, I would have to say that he's a Gemini. So Gemini is an air sign and they are very versatile. They're very flexible. I think that's why they're known as the twins, which sometimes people will say they have like two different personalities. But I think what that really means is that there's just many sides to them. So I feel like that perfectly fits Magnus because he can be kind of like wild, then he can also be more tame and kind and generous as well. So there we go. I love the diversity. We havened had a doubled up sign yet. Next character I've picked is Evelyn Hugo from The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid again. Evelyn is a super interesting character. Definitely read that book. But Evelyn is a bit of a morally gray character. From a young age, she does everything she can to be famous and to be a famous actress, no matter what it takes. And she pretty much has that sort of looking out for herself vibe throughout most of her life. She does end up becoming a mother and like getting those sort of motherly, warm instincts sometimes, but for the most part, she's pretty much looking after herself. My instinct is to say that she is a Leo. So as you guys might know, Leos are known to be very like outgoing and fun, but then also very self-centered and kind of like selfish. Where I don't even want to say that, but like they're very confident in themselves. And I feel like they can also be very dramatic and like attention seeking. So I think Evelyn Hugo like definitely has to be a Leo. Now we have Prince Maxon from the Selection series. Okay, so this is obviously America's love interest from the Selection. And I feel like he was like the yin to her yang. Like he was the more calm, patient one of the two, more like understanding. And then he also knew about like his responsibility that he had for the kingdom and ruling. So definitely got to keep that in mind. So maybe I will say Libra for him. I'm a Libra myself, so I feel like I don't know, like overprotective of that sign. Like I won't give it out easily, but I feel like Prince Maxon is probably a Libra as they are very diplomatic and like to keep the peace. And I feel like Maxon throughout the whole series is really doing his best to be diplomatic, being the prince of a kingdom and trying to figure out who his princess is when letting girls go from the competition. And he really tries to keep the peace between America and with his parents. As I said, with America, she's very fiery and out there, so he has to like keep the peace, be compassionate, all of that sort of things that I think Libras really value. So he definitely has to be a Libra. I talked myself into it. All right, next, this is fun. Next character I drew is the Darkling from the Grishaverse. I don't know what to say for this one. Okay, so the Darkling, he has some darkness to him, obviously. He's definitely ambitious. He's definitely been hurt in the past, wants to be loved, you know. I think I know the obvious answer, and that is that he's a Scorpio. So Scorpios are known as the darkest sign and like normally associated with like evil or bad behavior. So I just definitely have to say Scorpio for the Darkling. They are more closed off and stubborn and stuff like that. They keep more things internalized. They also have good qualities too. Like I think they're pretty compassionate and brave as well. But yeah, the Darkling definitely has to be a Scorpio. Simon Lewis from the Mortal Instruments or the Shadowhunter universe. Simon again is a very fun character. He's definitely like a comedic relief type of character in the series. He goes through a lot and he definitely does become like wiser as it goes on as well. He deals with a lot of heartache and a lot of changes in his life. He's also very creative as he is a musician. He's very loyal to his friends like Clary, so there's a lot going on with Simon too. This is probably the one I'm least sure of so far, but I think Simon has to be a water sign, and the water sign I am leaning most towards is a Cancer, and I'm sort of leaning towards that because we haven't had a Cancer come up yet. But Cancers are very emotional and very compassionate, you know, they feel a lot for others, and I feel like that does fit Simon's character. They can also be protective as well and fit those aspects of Simon's personality too. Next up, we have Selena from Throne of Glass. So this is my current or most recent read, so I should be able to do this. But Selena is super fiery. My immediate reaction is that she's gonna end up being a fire sign. She's super brave. She definitely can be selfish and arrogant, but she definitely works hard, and she's also very, very smart and like sly and cunning as well. First, I was thinking she would be a Leo, but the more I'm thinking about it, I think she might be an Aries, just to go with that whole leadership thing. And then Aries are also very competitive, and I feel like that pretty much sums up Selena's whole personality. She's very competitive and she's very quick-witted and all of that stuff, so she definitely has to be the Ram, Aries. All right. Next up, we have Marco from the Night Circus. So I read this one pretty recently, so I wanted to put a character in from this, and I felt like Marco was one of the most interesting characters. Marco is one of the magicians that is competing in a competition to be the last magician standing, and he does more of the behind the scenes work. He's not the type of magician to be like out on stage showing off, being the center of attention. He's more of like behind the scenes, being very like smart about things, like scheming, I guess. So my first instinct is an earth sign with that, so I think I'm gonna say Capricorn finally for Marco. As I said, he's very smart and very goal oriented, just like Capricorns. They're very determined. They're also very independent, as Marco actually, his trainer or whatever kind of like stops training him partway through the book, and he really just takes everything on and is very independent. So I think that he really fits the Capricorn vibe. But again, let me know if you agree with what I'm saying. Okay, so next thing I drew was Georgia from Loveless. Georgia's the main character in Loveless. She's young and just going to college and is really trying to figure out who she is, but she's pretty artistic even though she is a little bit shy. Her friendships are really, really important to her, and she's definitely a very good and supportive friend. So I think with that description, I'm gonna have to say that she is a Pisces, as Pisces are known to be the most artistic of the signs, and Georgia is really into acting and like theater. They're also very empathetic and like emotional, which I think Georgia would fit. I feel like she has a lot of emotions throughout the book that she's trying to get a handle on, and then they can also be very wise, which I feel like she ends up being for some of her friends. She's like that friend you go to for advice and just to be like the level-headed one. So we have our first Pisces. Oh, and now we have Rooney also from Loveless. So this is one of Georgia's friends in Loveless. She's a very different type of character. She's a lot more outgoing, a lot more friendly. She just gives off really good vibes that draw people to her. She also is a little bit more chaotic, has a lot of chaotic energy. She's also figuring out who she is as she hooks up with different people, and like she doesn't really let a lot of people in. I think for Rooney, I'm gonna give her a Scorpio, and not for the reasons that I gave the Darkling Scorpio, which is like the darkness of them, but just for the fact that she does keep herself closed off, and she does have pain that she keeps hidden inside instead of like showing it to the world. But then, as I said before, Scorpios can also be very brave and very driven as well, and I definitely think she has those good qualities too. Even though Scorpios are known to be the darker ones or whatever, they still can be fun, and I feel like Rooney would be like the fun version of a Scorpio. All right, we're getting to the end, don't worry. Now we have Eliza from Eliza and Her Monsters. So I really adored this book when I read it. Eliza is someone who is a very antisocial. She likes to keep to herself and really just spend most of her time online with her online friends, where she creates this whole web comic of her drawings and of her stories, and gets a lot of different followers on there. So instantly I want to say that she's a Pisces for that whole artistic dynamic. Also, I feel like Pisces can be more meek and quiet a lot of the times because they are so like daydreamy and in their heads. But then of course, as we already talked about, they can be like very empathetic and good friends as well, which I feel like although she can be selfish at times, she also can be a good friend at other times. So I really think Eliza would be another Pisces. Now I have Robert Langdon from the Robert Langdon books by Dan Brown. This is interesting. This isn't YA or anything like a lot of these books. Langdon is not sure of his age, but he's like a Harvard professor. So he's a bit older, he's more educated, very smart. He's always solving mysteries, using his knowledge to get out of hard situations. So because of that, I think he has to be our next Virgo, to go with the whole analytical, very intelligent aspects of Virgos, and also their patience and their loyalty, because I feel like Robert Langdon has a very good moral compass. He's ultimately a very good person while also being very smart, so I feel like he has to be a Virgo. Now we have Kaya from Where the Crawdads Sing. Kaya again is a very interesting person. Basically the whole book is like a character study into her. She's very independent, she's very hardworking and driven and stubborn. So what do we think of that? I think right away she has to be our next Capricorn. As I just described a Capricorn right now when I was describing her. Very determined, stubborn, serious, independent. Like that is Kaya in a nutshell. Of course she also can be loving as well, but just due to her upbringing, like she's more of a harder Capricorn, you know? Okay, I'm trying to go through these last few a bit quicker. Then I put in Apollo from Trials of Apollo by Riordan. Apollo's a super fun character. So he's obviously a Greek god, and in this story he gets turned into a human and he has to learn to be less full of himself, to be more down to earth, literally, but he's very fun, he's very open-minded and carefree, and I don't think we've had this sign yet, but I think he would have to be a Sagittarius. He definitely gives me fire sign vibes, so I think he would have to be one of them, or air sign. He could be a fire or an air sign, but I'm gonna go with Sagittarius because they're very adventurous, and I feel like Apollo obviously goes on a lot of adventures in the series. They also are known to be very funny and very like happy-go-lucky, and I feel like that's 100% Apollo. Like he is the sun god, like he brings the light, and so I think he has to be our first Sagittarius. Now we have Pepper from Tweet Cute. This is a really cute YA contemporary. Pepper is a teenage girl and she's very, again, determined. She does really well in school and she's the captain of the swimming team, I think, and she does help with her mom's business. Like she does a lot. I think to go with the theme, we're definitely having a lot of earth signs in this, and I think she would also be an earth sign. She would lean more towards being a Taurus because she is extremely stubborn. She has a enemies to lovers romance in this book, so you see her being very stubborn with him and with her opinions in this book. But then you also, Tauruses do have like a creative side as well, and I feel like you also see her being very creative with Twitter and how she comes up with all of these memes and funny tweets to tweet on behalf of her mom's business. So that's why I feel like she would have to be a Taurus. Okay, next. This is our second last one. Now we have Kale from Throne of Glass, another Throne of Glasser. Kale doesn't have a lot of personality. His main personality is basically loyalty and maybe like being strong and being serious. So another earth sign coming in here, I think he's gonna be a Virgo. I feel like he's very analytical as like the head guard of the castle. Like he has to be very on top of his job and like all the security measures. But then he also has like a kind heart as well. As I said, he's very loyal to his friends and to his loved ones. And yeah, he's just a very like practical guy. Gotta be a Virgo. And for our very last character, we have Noemi from Mexican Gothic. So Noemi is a young woman who, I think the book was in like the 50s or 60s. It was more like old-fashioned, but she was like a very strong-willed woman. Again, like really stood up for herself even despite, you know, the odds stacked against her. And she was really determined to save her cousin throughout the book. Was definitely a fiery person as well, so I'm leaning towards a fire sign for her. I think for our final assigning book characters a zodiac sign, we are gonna have to assign Noemi as a Leo. I feel like she really shines. She doesn't mind having the center of attention. She's really self-assured and knows what she wants and who she is. And as I just said, like she's very fiery and passionate. And so I feel like she would be a Leo. So let me know your thoughts on this, if you agree or disagree with any of my assignments to these characters of what zodiac sign they would be. I really had fun with this, so if you guys like it, I might do a part 2. Make sure to subscribe for more bookish videos. I upload every Tuesdays and sometimes Thursdays, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!